Outsourcing Cold Calling to the Philippines, a guide. Why B2B teams are offshoring cold calling and why it works. Cold calling isn't dead. Inefficient cold calling is. For most B2B teams, the bottleneck isn't the phone, it's the economics of building enough consistent outbound activity without inflating headcount, overhead, and ramp time. This is where sales outsourcing to the Philippines becomes a practical lever. Instead of hiring, training, and managing a full in-house SDR bench in the US, you can plug into an outsourced sales team built for high-volume calling, follow-ups, and appointment setting, often with better coverage and more predictable staffing. The goal of this guide is simple: help you move from "we tried a cheap call center" to a reliable B2B cold calling engine. We'll break down when the Philippines is a fit, how to choose the right cold calling agency or SDR agency, what to track, and how to integrate offshore reps into a modern outbound sales agency motion. Why the Philippines is a mature market for phone-based sales work. If you're outsourcing a core revenue function, you want a market that's already proven at scale. In 2024, the Philippines' IT BPM sector generated about $38 billion in revenue and employed 1.82 million people, which is exactly what a mature outsourcing hub looks like in practice. More importantly, for B2B cold calling services, contact centers dominate that ecosystem. In 2024, contact centers represented roughly 83% of IT BPM revenue and 89% of employment, about $31.5 billion and 1.62 million workers, which means management playbooks, QA norms, and calling infrastructure are deeply institutionalized. Language and cultural alignment are the other major tailwinds. The Philippines ranks 28th globally on the EF English Proficiency Index with a score of 569, high proficiency, and it is also ranked second in Asia in recent EF reporting. One reason US-facing telemarketing and telesales operations can sound natural when you hire the right team. The real business case: savings, coverage, and cost per outcome. Most companies explore outsourcing because the savings are meaningful, but the best operators evaluate it the same way they evaluate any growth channel, by cost per qualified outcome. Across multiple providers and market reports, typical labor savings land around 50 to 70% versus equivalent US hiring, largely due to wage and overhead differences while maintaining service quality. Hourly rate comparisons make the delta concrete. Many Philippines BPO hourly rates sit around $8 to $16 compared to $24 to $32 for similar U.S. roles. And the average U.S. call center representative earns about $18 to 68 cents per hour. Meanwhile, many Philippine call center agents earn roughly 15 to 25 PH$ per month, creating a strong wage arbitrage even after a vendor's management and tooling margin. Where teams get misled is obsessing over hourly rates instead of output. Use a simple comparison to keep every vendor conversation grounded in cost per meeting and cost per opportunity, especially if you're evaluating cold calling companies, pay per appointment lead generation offers, or a broader B2B sales outsourcing model. How to choose a partner and set up a 90-day pilot. Not every provider selling cold call services is a fit for complex B2B prospecting. Many shops were built on customer support or B2C scripts, so the first filter is specialization. You want a B2B-focused SDR agency that can prove experience in your ACV range, your buyer titles, and your sales cycle complexity. Before you sign anything, audit your current cold calling economics. Calculate your fully loaded cost per in-house SDR plus your cost per meeting and cost per opportunity, then use those as the baseline for vendor comparison so you're buying outcomes, not just cheaper labor. From there, structure a 90-day pilot with a tight segment and hard KPIs. Start with one vertical, one geo, or one persona set. Align your CRM fields and lead flow, and agree to a weekly cadence where you review call recordings, coaching notes, and performance trends together instead of treating the outsourced program as set and forget. Outsourcing works when you manage it like a revenue team, not like a vendor. Onboarding that actually produces meetings, not just dials. Your offshore team will only be as good as the brief you give them. We recommend writing a clear outbound playbook that spells out your ICP, target titles, top use cases, qualification criteria, disqualifiers, and the talk track your AEs stand behind. Then, treating that document as the standard every cold calling team must follow before they touch a single dial. For complex sales, a hybrid structure is usually the highest performing model. Keep narrative control and later stage discovery with your US-based AEs or strategists, and let a dedicated Philippines SDR pod handle list-driven outreach, daily dials, and follow-ups to consistently produce first meetings. Operationally, quality comes from repetition and feedback loops. Build weekly call coaching, a lightweight QA rubric, and shared visibility into what's working, so your offshore reps learn your market language, tighten objection handling, and improve meeting quality over time rather than optimizing for raw activity. Common mistakes that kill ROI and how to avoid them. The most common failure mode is choosing the cheapest option. Low-cost providers often push shared agents, thin management, and minimal QA, so you may save on fees while paying for it through poor targeting, low-quality meetings, and internal distrust of the channel. Another mistake is underinvesting in onboarding and data. Even the best cold callers can't fix an unclear ICP or a messy list. So align who owns list strategy, enrichment, and validation before launch, and ensure your team can review recordings and metrics without friction. Finally, don't assume offshore means unstable. The Philippines contact center industry has professionalized significantly, with voluntary attrition reported around 31% in 2022 and about 19% in the first half of 2023. Down from historical levels of 60 to 70%. That stability is real, but you still have to protect it with coaching, career paths, and a program cadence that treats reps like part of your revenue team. What to track? KPIs that prove pipeline, not vanity activity. If you're outsourcing B2B cold calling services, the scoreboard must map to pipeline. At minimum, track connect rate, live conversations per dial, meeting rate, meetings per conversation and per dial, show rate, kept versus scheduled, and opportunity rate, opportunities created per meeting. Once you have baseline conversion rates, you can make smart decisions about scaling dials, headcount, and coverage windows. If connect rate is low, the fix is usually data and timing. If meetings are low, the fix is messaging and objection handling. If show rate is low, the fix is confirmation workflows and tighter qualification. The best outbound programs don't rely on calling alone. A strong outbound sales agency approach typically pairs calling with email and social touches. Whether that's a cold email agency partner, LinkedIn outreach services, or integrated sequences, so each channel improves the others instead of competing for attention. Next steps: how to scale a Philippines SDR pod without losing control. Plan for a real ramp. In most B2B programs, you'll spend 2 to 4 weeks iterating on talk track and targeting before performance stabilizes, and you'll typically need 60 to 90 days of data to know whether your conversion benchmarks are strong enough to scale confidently. When you scale the system, not just the seats. That means codifying your outbound brief, tightening QA, keeping CRM updates consistent, and aligning shifts to your buyer's working hours, which most Philippines teams can support as standard night shift coverage for US time zones. If you don't want to build the whole machine yourself, Working with a specialized B2B sales agency can reduce risk. At SalesHive, we run a hybrid model with US-based strategy and dedicated Philippines-based SDRs, combining cold calling services, list building services, and multi-channel execution into one outbound motion. So teams can hire SDRs or effectively hire SDRs through an outsourced pod while still maintaining message control and pipeline accountability.